Your first real estate deal probably doesn't start with finding one perfect property. It starts with finding enough opportunities to learn what a real opportunity looks like. That's why I want you to stop thinking about your first deal for a minute and focus on a smaller target. Your first 20 real estate leads, not 1,000, not some giant marketing campaign, 20. Because most beginners never get enough real conversations, properties, or opportunities in front of them to learn how the business actually works. They study, they watch, they plan, they bookmark videos and join Facebook groups, but they never build a pipeline. And without a pipeline, none of that studying turns into a deal. So in this video, I'm going to show you a simple beginner path to finding your first 20 leads without trying 10 different marketing strategies at once. If you're new to real estate investing, lead generation can feel confusing. You hear people talk about direct mail, cold calling, driving for dollars, online ads, agents, wholesalers, expired listings, absentee work owners, probate, foreclosure, landlords, networking. And suddenly you feel like you need software, a call center, a big marketing budget, and 5 hours a day just to get started. Your first goal is simpler. You need to prove that you can consistently identify people or properties worth investigating. That's what a lead is. The lead isn't automatically a deal. A lead isn't someone who is guaranteed to sell. A lead is simply a possible opportunity that deserves the next question. That distinction matters more than most anything else in this video. A lot of beginners put too much pressure on each lead. They find one property and think, this has to be my first deal. Then they get emotionally attached. They force the numbers, they overpay, or they get discouraged when the seller says no and quit looking altogether. I've seen new investors spend 3 weeks chasing a single property, convinced it was the one, while 20 other opportunities sat untouched because they never built a list in the first place. Real estate investing works better when one opportunity is part of a larger pipeline. If you have one lead, every conversation feels heavy. If you have 20 leads, you can think more clearly because you can compare. You can reject bad opportunities without panic. You can learn patterns and you can stop trying to turn every property into a deal. That's the real purpose of your first 20 leads. You're not trying to only find a deal. You're training through judgment. I'm the insider and I built Seminar Insider to help new real estate investors understand the business before they overpay for coaching, seminars, or high-ticket training. But the first deal roadmap is about moving from education into action. And this is where a lot of beginner advice gets unrealistic. People say, just find motivated sellers. Okay, how? Where? What counts as a lead? What do you do when you find one? So let's make this practical. The first thing you need is one strategy. Don't start looking for leads until you know what kind of opportunity you're looking for. A rental investor may look for properties with strong rental potential. A flipper may look for properties needing repair with enough margin. A wholesaler may look for situations where a seller values speed, convenience, or certainty over top dollar. Different strategies create different lead criteria, and chasing all of them at once just creates noise. So before building your list, answer this. What kind of deal am I trying to find? For this video, I'm going to assume you're a beginner looking for discounted or off-market opportunities that could potentially work for you or another investor, and that gives us a simple starting point. The second thing you need is one lead source, and this is where beginners make the biggest mistake. They try 5 marketing channels at once. They drive for dollars Monday. They call on Tuesday. They put an absentee owner list on Wednesday. They post on social media Thursday, and they give up Friday because nothing happened, and they never gave a single method a real chance to work. Don't do that. Pick one source and stay with it long enough to learn. Your first 20 leads, I would start one of 3 beginner-friendly sources. Source 1, driving for dollars. This means physically looking for properties that show signs of distress or neglect. You may notice overgrown grass, boarded windows, a full mailbox, peeling paint, roof damage, code notices, a property that looks vacant, or a house that clearly needs work. You aren't assuming the owner is distressed. You are simply identifying a property worth researching. So drive 1 or 2 neighborhoods where you understand price range. And don't try to cover the whole city in one afternoon. Write down the addresses as you go, even if it's just notes in your phone. Your first target might be 20 properties in a single weekend, and that alone gives you a starter list. Now, source 2, tired landlord leads. Look for rental properties where the owner may be dealing with problems, long days on market, repeated rental listings that keep reappearing month after month, or property condition, vacancy, eviction history, where public records and local law allow you to research it properly. Out-of-area ownership, which often means a landlord who is tired of managing from a distance. Again, none of those automatically mean motivation, but they are signals. And you're building a list of people who may have a problem your offer could solve. Now, source 3, agent and wholesaler relationships. This is underrated for beginners, but you can talk to investor-friendly agents and say, I'm learning to analyze value-add properties. If you see anything with heavy repairs, long days on market, or a seller who wants a clean close, I'd like to look at it. You can also talk to wholesalers, but be careful. Don't assume their numbers are correct. Wholesalers are often motivated to make a deal look better than it is. So use their opportunities as leads, but then verify the value, repair costs, and margin yourself before you trust a single figure they hand you. The goal isn't to trust the source. The goal is to see more opportunities. That's the first major aha. You don't need more marketing channels. You need one clear strategy, one lead source, and enough repetition to build your first pipeline. If you want help avoiding the pressure and confusion that hits beginners when they're learning real estate, then download the free Seminar Survival Guide in the description below. It'll help you ask better questions before you buy education, software, or expensive lead generation systems you may not need yet. Now let's turn this into 20 actual leads. Step 3, define what counts as a lead. This is important because beginners either count everything or nothing. For your first 20, use a simple standard. A lead should have a real property, a real owner or decision maker you can identify, and a reason the property or situation deserves investigation. That reason might be visible distress, vacancy, long days on market, a landlord issue, an inherited property, a seller with a timeline, or a property another investor is trying to move. You aren't saying it's a deal, you're saying it deserves the next step. Now, step 4, track every lead in one simple sheet. Don't overcomplicate this. You need columns for property address, owner name, phone or contact method, lead source, and the reason it caught your attention. But you'll also need estimated value, known condition, the date contacted, next step, and the status. That's enough. You don't need an expensive CRM for your first 20 leads. A spreadsheet works. The point is to stop keeping opportunities in your head. Your memory isn't a pipeline. And by lead 12, you'll not remember which house had the bad roof. Step 5, research before contacting. Don't call someone with no idea what you're looking at. Before contacting an owner, do basic homework. Look at public property information where available. Check recent sales in the area. Look at approximate value. Look at the property condition from available photos or street view. Look at ownership history and whether it appeared owner-occupied or absentee-owned. You're trying to avoid blind conversation. You don't need perfect analysis yet. You just need enough context to ask intelligent questions instead of guessing out loud. Now, step 6, make simple contact. This is where beginners overthink scripts. You don't need to sound like a professional salesperson. You need to be clear and honest. A simple conversation could sound like, hi, I'm calling about the property on Oak Street. I'm looking at a few properties in the area and wanted to see whether you consider an offer if the numbers made sense. That's enough to start. If they say no, respect it and move to the next lead. If they say yes or maybe, ask questions. Why are they considering selling? What's the property condition? What timeline matters to them? Is it occupied? What repairs do they already know about? What price are they hoping for? The goal isn't to pressure. The goal is to understand the situation. Now, step 7, don't confuse response with motivation. Someone answering the phone doesn't make them motivated. Someone saying they will sell doesn't make it a deal. Someone giving you a price doesn't mean that the price works. This is where the numbers come back in. For each responsive lead, ask what the property is realistically worth, what the likely repairs are, and what the total cost will be, what's the exit strategy, and whether there's enough margin. A lead becomes more valuable as the facts improve, not as your excitement improves. Now here's the insider breakdown. Let's break down where beginners get sold the wrong idea about leads. Here's what they show you. They show you the big pipeline, hundreds of leads, thousands of calls, automated software, text campaigns, direct mail drops by the truckload, large marketing budgets. They show the investor closing deal after deal stacked one after the other like it's effortless. And that can make you think you need a huge machine before you even begin. Here's what they leave out. They often leave out the learning stage, the first 20 leads, the awkward conversations, the wrong phone numbers, the owners who say no, sometimes rudely, the properties that don't work no matter how you run the numbers, the repair estimates that quietly destroy the margin, the leads that teach you what motivation actually sounds like versus what it doesn't. They may also leave out of the cost of those large systems, the software, the data, the skip tracing, the mail, the ads, the employees, callers. Your goal isn't to copy a mature investing business that's spending thousands a month on marketing. Your first goal is to build the habit of seeing and working opportunities consistently. What you actually need to know, 20 leads won't guarantee a deal. That needs to be clear. You may need more, possibly many more, depending on your market, strategy, lead source, software quality, and consistency. But 20 is enough to start learning, and it gives you a real sample. It forces you to research. It gets you into conversations. It gives you something to analyze instead of theorize about. And it moves you out of passive learning and into the part of the business that actually produces deals. So here's your simple first 20 lead plan. Day one, pick one strategy, pick one market, and pick one lead source. Write these 3 decisions down so you don't second guess them by Wednesday. Days 2 through 7, find 5 leads. Don't rush, research them. Track them in your sheet. Week 2, find 5 more. Now you have 10. Start contacting the strongest ones while you keep building the list. Week 3, add 5 more. Review what you're learning, which properties are actually interesting, which owners respond, what objections do you keep hearing. Week 4, add the final 5. Now you have 20 leads. Then sort them into 3 groups. Cold, no obvious motivation or a poor fit for your strategy. Warm, possible interest or a situation worth watching. Hot, a real problem, a real timeline, and numbers worth investigating further. That's your first pipeline. It's not complicated, but it's real. And unlike a plan sitting in your notes app, it's something you can actually work. So if you want your first real estate deal, stop waiting for one perfect opportunity to appear. Build your first 20 leads. Pick one strategy. Pick one market. Pick one lead source. Track every opportunity. Research before you contact. Ask simple questions that let the numbers decide what deserves more attention. Again, download the free Seminar Survival Guide in the link below to get help avoiding the expensive tools, programs, and pressure tactics that beginners often run into before they even have a real pipeline. And when you're ready for a lower pressure way to learn real estate fundamentals, deal analysis, and beginner strategies, then go check out The Vault. This is the first video in the first deal roadmap. The next step is turning those leads into real offers without forcing bad deals. So in the next video, we'll break down how to move from your first 20 leads towards your first 10 serious offers. Because finding leads is only the beginning. The real skill is knowing which ones deserve a number.